I saw a clip from a Biden-Harris HQ X account, and it was of Donald Trump having a brain malfunction, just forgetting how to communicate using the English language temporarily. And I was thinking, surely this out of context because it's too strange, and it's only 8 seconds. So surely if I saw more of this clip, I would understand why Trump sounded so incoherent and so strange, and again, seemed to forget how to speak correct words. And no, I'll show you first the clip that's been circulating, then we'll go look at the context. It doesn't help whatsoever. This was from an interview on Real America's Voice with Trump on Just the News, No Noise. And he's talking about education. Look at the insightful take on education in America and the world, the large world, as Trump calls it, that he has here.
So we have the worst education almost in the...
Let me play that over. I'm going crazy with my audio here.
So we have the worst education almost in the large world, the world that people know about. Let's say if you... So
we have the worst education in the large world, the world that people know about, as opposed to the world that people don't know about, the deep, dark depths of the ocean. Is that what we're talking about? You're right. I don't have education rankings, on the deep ocean world. But let's look at the full context. This was uploaded, this clip, on Rumble by Real America's Voice. Proud of what Trump had to say here.
I want to move the Department of Education into the states because, you know, I'm going to Iowa, I'm going to New Hampshire, I'm going to places that will do a fantastic job running their own education. And I need like one desk and one good person in Washington. We don't need anybody. The only thing I want to make sure is that every state is going to make sure you speak English in their educational programs. You know, we can't let it get too totally out of control. So we have the worst education almost in the large world, the world that people know about. Let's say if you take the top 40 countries, we're about...
There he sounds like he's confusing himself. He's hearing the words leave his mouth and thinking, what the heck am I talking about?
At the bottom of the list, we're number 38, 39, 40. Yeah. Norway, Denmark, Sweden, China. Think of that. China is a top 5. We spend double and triple what every other country. There's no country that comes close. We spend more per pupil, and we're at 40. So what I want to do is end the Department of Education, get it out of Washington, move it back to the states. Some states will do a phenomenal job. People like...
Yeah, that'll solve the problem. So he's actually wrong, as you may have been able to expect, on the specifics of what he's saying. We'll get to more from this interview. It gets worse, but interestingly, even though I think we should strive to be even better, there's so many areas that need improvement. U.S. News and World Report ranks us for education rankings at #1 worldwide. But it does depend on which metrics are we talking about. Just scores specifically, because if you jump to that, you see we're not #1 on reading, math, science scores. But there's so many different factors: educational opportunities, availability, access. What are we measuring for, I guess, is the question. Because then you look at countries that have the most educated populations. The United States is down at 20, so not 40, as Trump was saying. And you look at a different ranking site, World Top 20, the United States at 18 for best education systems. So he's wrong on the specifics. He's also wrong when it comes to us spending more than every single other country per person. As you can see here, especially when you exclude tertiary education, meaning post K through 12, post primary, secondary, because we spend a lot on tertiary, as you can imagine. The universities, the colleges in the United States, very, very expensive compared to other countries. But looking exclusively at K through 12, primary, secondary, multiple countries spend more per person than we do, but we're the wealthiest country on the planet, so we should spend the most per person. You can compare to what percentage of the government's budget is directed toward education, and we're super low down on that list of the big countries here. So he's wrong all the way around. Not a shocker. But just one more time for good measure before moving past this clip.
So we have the worst education almost in the large world, the world that people know about. Let's say if you...
So maybe on Mars they have better education, but in the world we know about, Trump thinks that we're the worst. And even with what I showed you, by some metrics, we are not ranked as high as we should. On some, we're ranked really high, but we still need to go further. And the solution is not abolishing the Department of Education or defunding public education. We should invest more in public education and allocate correctly our resources and try to fix broken aspects of the current system. But they want to privatize and get rid of essentially the current system of education in the United States. Then we'll talk more about the clip being referenced later in today's bonus show, but you may have seen lots of people within the right wing were upset about something Hillary Clinton had to say, and it had to do with MAGA individuals being in a cult, which is something we've talked about quite a bit on this show. And Trump, I guess, is responding to that and then just gets confused again.
Hillary Clinton, she said the other day, cult. She'll say anything that comes to her mind because she still hasn't recovered. But she was talking about all of the things that are going on. And during the debates, remember, she would say, he will cause us war. Yeah. He's going to get us into war. No, she was talking about my personality. His personality, look at him. His personality is going to get us into war. I said, no, my personality is going to keep us out of war. That's what happened. My personality kept us out of war. My personality made great trade deals with other countries that would never even make them. Hillary Clinton, she's...
Yeah, so I guess Hillary Clinton's super wrong because she predicted Trump's personality would get us into a war, but instead it contributed to the mishandling of a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic to such a devastating degree and motivated him to try to overthrow our lawful democratic process and allegedly committed multiple crimes as president. I think Hillary was onto something with the flaws in Trump's personality, even if she got a little bit off what he was going to try to do. Overthrowing American democracy, or attempting to, I should say, allegedly unlawfully, pretty bad too, I'd say. Then on the now averted potential government shutdown and the budget talks that are going to come right back up because it's only a 45-day continuing resolution that was passed and signed into law. And Trump seems to just want Republicans, or wanted them previously, to shut down the government so they could have more leverage in negotiating with Joe Biden. All the pain that would cause, he wants it just so Biden will get blamed and they can negotiate from a stronger position, I guess.
But you didn't have that. Kevin wanted to keep it open, and he said, we will not let our country close. I said, Kevin, I think it's wonderful what you're saying, but this is really, whoever president is, this is the president's problem, not your problem. And you would have been, you said, negotiate for...
I didn't even pick up on that, by the way. Whoever president is. Whoever the president is?
You would have been negotiating from strength. And all of a sudden they announced out of the wind, they announced that they have a deal. And I won't soon forget the picture of Chuck Schumer jumping up and down, high-fiving everybody, because it was a big victory for them. They solved the problem for Biden. Worst negotiators I've ever seen. I've never seen negotiators like this. They get nothing. And I told Kevin, I said, if you do this, I believe you're going to lose your speakership. And in all fairness to him, he wanted to do what he thought was the right thing. And I personally think he played right into the Democrats' hands.
So I guess he's saying Kevin McCarthy played into the hands of the Democrats, meaning the Democrats have this horrible, secret, villainous motivation to keep the government open, keep the government functioning. They don't want government workers to be harmed, not get paid. They don't want people to go unserved by the government, which, as I've said, seems like a basic obligation of our elected officials. Can you at least keep the body in which you serve functioning, much less go out and solve other problems? Just try not to have your own institution fall apart and stop being able to function. Can you do that at least? And Trump's saying, no, it would have been great if that happened, essentially, because then Joe Biden would have gotten the blame, which isn't even true. Republicans historically get blamed for government shutdowns because they are to blame for these shutdowns in the last numerous decades. And Americans see that. So this likely would have hurt Republicans and their negotiating ability, not the other way around. But Trump just wants chaos. Then he continues with his obsession with his admiration for Xi Jinping.
And I had a great relationship with him. He's a great gentleman in many ways. He's tough. You know, when you say he's a great gentleman, immediately it's breaking news. Trump said he's a great gentleman. That's terrible, right? If you say he's smart, I remember once I said, yeah, he's very smart. He controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. He's very smart. They said he's smart. You know, like I'm not supposed to say smart. Okay, he's not smart. These people are crazy. But
yeah, it's us who are crazy.
I had a great relationship with him, very good relationship with Putin. We wouldn't have had any of these problems. President Xi.
Wild. We've talked about this before, but the argument that people will make to defend Trump with stuff like this is you can analyze the intelligence of someone even if they're bad, which I've said you can say someone is intelligent and also dishonest, in the case of these leaders, dangerous, authoritarian, incredibly harmful to their citizens. But that's not what Trump does. Number one, he does it in this bizarre, knee-jerk, weird, obsessive fashion. He just can't help him. Every single time he hears those names, smart, and has to interject that even when that's not the subject of the discussion. He has to make that a subject. He's obsessed with them in that way. But also, you never hear him say this about any other leader that's an ally of ours. Any leader that's not oppressive to their citizens or authoritarian. And also, he took it to the next step this time. Quote, he's a great gentleman in many ways. Now he's not assessing the intelligence of an authoritarian, someone doing mass harm to so many people, but is just saying, in terms of, I guess, his morality, just as a person, I don't know what Trump's trying to say there, but a great gentleman. That's Trump's take on Xi Jinping. And it's because, as we'll always go back to, his admiration comes from a place of longing. He wants to be that. He wishes he could have that type of control. He goes back to that. He's smart because of control. He's smart because of control. He wants that power over a country. And it's a bummer for him that even when he was president, the United States doesn't give as much power to one man as these other countries do. And he sees the way that they're, Kim Jong-un as well, able to control their populations, control their country. They have this authoritarian power, and he longs for it. And so that's so impressive and stunning to him. So random. But meanwhile, what's going on with Trump's son?
I mean, you know, and the city could probably provide for more things like hair care, because, you know, that's a necessity. Now, I am a Trump, I will say, you know, it takes some product to keep this helmet in place. But are we serious? And yet this is a fundamental belief of this party. Everyone should get whatever they want, and there's always an excuse for that, you know.
What is this?
A belief of this party. Everyone should get whatever they want, and there's always...
Everyone, wherever they want. Fascinating. I've done this before, but while I close out the segment, watch him speak without audio. It's even more bonkers. My goodness. Everyone should get whatever they want. You have, as far as the impactful speakers in history, inspirational, you got MLK Jr. and right up there fighting for that first place spot is Don Jr. Whew. Just a little longer. What on earth is going on? Now, I did purposefully, in this situation, unlike the Trump thing, make sure no context was added just so that we could be max confused by what he was saying. Make sure you're subscribed, by the way, to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and get a bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.